hormones, imbalance, premenopause, all of these fabulous things. Am I right, ladies? Hi, it's Denise, and you are listening to the Working Moms Redefined podcast. And so many of you enjoyed our previous episode with functional medicine doctor, Dr. Kim, that we brought him back. He was not given enough time to share all of his wisdom and his thoughts. And honestly, the value that he brings to the conversation to help us feel better about ourselves. So we've brought him back. Dr. Kim, thank you for coming back. We so appreciate you.
Denise, I'm so grateful for your re-invite.
You're so welcome. We are good. We talked last time a lot about what's happening hormonally inside a lot of us. And yet, what else is going on? What else are you seeing in a lot of female patients that you're like, we need to be educated on this?
So I think that one of my mentors, very famous physician, his wife, and he was really great because whenever he presented, she had like about 15 minutes, and she was a bit of a comedian, so she would have all kinds of jokes. And one of the jokes, and her jokes were not true jokes, because if you really think about it, they bit. They had a tooth to it or teeth to it. And one of the things is that behind every successful man, there's a very, very tired woman. So I thought about it. And in Chinese medicine, they say that if you can treat women effectively, you can treat 10 men effectively. And it has to do with the complexity of women versus men. And like the older book, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, is really true. Women have more complexity, and this is also confirmed by a psychologist who used to work in mental health hospital for boys and girls, and he said that boys are easy. You just tell them what you expect, and when they will forget, you just remind them very gently, consistently, and firmly. They can accept. Girls, they're a different game altogether. They will say, do you have any questions? They have none until that like a deadline for sleeping comes. They say, I want to talk to patient advocate. I feel like my rights are being violated. So, and if you have a daughter, I think you can kind of understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is that so women are just more complex from biology, from psychology, and the and there's a cost of being complex. What I see is that, for example, autoimmune diseases target women more than men. Women gain weight more easily in midlife than men. Now, men show it more because men don't care usually. But for women to lose 1 pound probably takes 2 to 3 times more effort than men. The other part is that why is autoimmune disease so common for women? I think that it has to do with the fact that we're finding out that there are a lot of hidden infections these days, uh, and especially we're beginning to draw a conclusion between lupus and Epstein-Barr virus. So one of the things I did want to talk about was hidden infection. We do live in the Midwest, and ticks are everywhere. But as the weather appears to be warming, the ticks are moving north. This year, I think that AER is saying that the visits due to tick bites has like tripled, and Wisconsin has put a notice out because in Wisconsin, some parts of Wisconsin, many parts of Wisconsin, you get Canadian summer, which is very cool. But they put a warning out that this summer they're expecting Lyme or the tick bites to go through the roof. And what happens is that the initial tick bite, if it makes you ill, you're lucky because you can treat it very easily with an antibiotic. And usually that's the end of it, 30 days to 6 months, depending on your healthcare thing. But if you're a healthy person, 6 months, that's it. And so what happens is that it's a reactivation of Lyme that is a problem. So what it doesn't, if people had like this just the usual traveling bullet shaped rash, no one's going to miss it. Usually it doesn't turn out that way. So first you get some reaction, it comes down, and then it hides, and it likes to hide, and it's very good at hiding. When the conditions are bad for it, it hides, and then when the conditions are good, it comes to party. How do you know that? When you're fatigued, when you have unexplainable fatigue, and once you have the fatigue, then you also have joint pain is the next one, and then cognitive loss is the third one. Those three, one, two, three, is Lyme until proven otherwise. So I do testing for it. Unfortunately, testing is very expensive um, when you go for the best testing. And so, and when you have fatigue, it's multidimensional. So the approach has to be comprehensive: sleep, hormone, hidden infection, nutrition, and endocrine autoimmune. Those has to be all looked at. So, and there's integrative medicine. Usually, we can do things without testing. Functional medicine, we're operating from the blind, like asking our soldiers to not have night goggle at night.
Mm.
But integrative medicine, we're used to doing that, so we can get by. So the other thing that I see a lot these days is MCAS, or mast cell activation syndrome. What happens is that the newer illnesses like COVID, long COVID, chronic fatigue syndrome, and then Lyme disease, mold exposure. What happens is some of these conditions are so intelligent, so tough, that they put a shield on them, and the shield is called MCAS, mast cell activation syndrome. What that means is that your immune system is so riled up, it just reacts to anything and everything. And when you try to treat the disease, again, it's intelligence. It's like, I don't like this. I found the perfect host. I want to be here together. I don't want to kill that host, but I do want to make that, I'm going to take everything from that host. And treatment is making it difficult.
Mm.
So mast cells get activated, get angry, so that whatever you do, and this actually springtime is excellent time for mast cell activation in the Midwest because of the pollens and everything. And what happens is that what the allergist that was not a big deal becomes a big deal. And what I would say is that last several patients I've had all have MCAS, underlying different condition, underlying mold, underlying dysbiosis, underlying just a lot of different things that I just didn't see even 5 years ago. So my practice today is completely different than several years ago. Most of the people who came to me 5 years ago was autoimmune diseases. Now it's autoimmune diseases, MCAS, or Lyme disease plus MCAS, or mold plus MCAS.
Dang.
And it's really, and MCAS is not something you just take a pill and gets better. It's probably 5 years. And the reason why I say 5 years is because of clinical experience, and also it's an immune disorder. And any kind of immune disorder, like cancer, what did it say? After 5 years, you reach remission. Why is it that allergy treatments, including allergy drops that I do, why do I say 5 years? Why do I say that even for low dose naltrexone, you need to do it for 5 years for autoimmune diseases? Because anytime you touch the immune system, it's like that. It's really, really, but that's, I would say, that's what I see the most. And it's really heartbreaking because you have all these gifted people in my practice, who are IT experts, who are maestros in music, and professionals, and they are all, their life has been destroyed. And even with all the tools I have, what I can say is that it's about 70% they're better. So I can restore their functionality about 70%. And I tell everyone that, because once you lose it, it's not easy. And chairman of Coca-Cola companies used to say this, that we are juggling crystal balls and just one rubber ball. So relationship, well, that's a crystal ball. You drop it, you shatter it, or you scratch it, you can see the scratch. Um, the only rubber ball you health is the same thing. The only thing he said, the rubber ball is your career. If you drop it, it'll bounce. And this is a chairman of Coca-Cola companies talking, and that really made a big impact. So, ladies, I know that there's a reason why airline companies say put the mask on yourself first. You want to save your children, you want to save your spouse, but if you're not saving yourself, then who's the matriarch in the family? Who does everyone in the family call when they're distressed? At least in my family, I love my son, but it's not me. My wife usually will tell me, I'll say that, oh, our son has this, you should call him.
Mhm.
So I think that women, yes, they're complex, and yes, they are more more, what do you call, susceptible. And part of that is built into the equation. Pregnancy is a life-threatening condition. Pregnancy on the past days claimed many women's lives. What women don't understand is that in pregnancy, you are induced into immune suppression.
Mm.
So after you give birth, so many women nowadays will display immune system going haywire, and that's MCAS. I've had a woman given birth, couldn't eat any fruits for a year until we did the treatment and do the testing, figure out what she became allergic to, and then use allergy drops to address the root cause. So it's a very complex condition, but it kind of fits my practice because that's what I'm looking for.
That is so interesting. I have some follow-up questions. Let's go back to Lyme.
Yeah.
How do you go about treating something like that?
Yeah. So in the beginning, it's really easy. If you got bitten by and then you have the rash, or if you got bitten and you don't want to ever deal with Lyme, I would say probably 1 to 6 months of antibiotics, which is very relatively safe, is probably the best way to treat it. The guidelines say maybe about 2 weeks. What I find is that Lyme is a very difficult because it doesn't multiply fast. It multiplies very slowly. So once you get infected in the beginning, I think before it goes into the cell and lives there, if it's in the blood, I think it's best to deactivate it, kill it, eradicate it. After that, we're not looking at eradication. We're looking at control. We're looking at creating a terrain that is very difficult for Lyme. Usually, I optimize the immune system through low dose naltrexone, and then I optimize mitochondria using methylene blue. But at some point, I will increase the dose of methylene blue so that they are antimicrobial. They're one. That's one. Lyme usually requires three different antimicrobials for it to work. So then I have the second and third. The important thing is that if you treat it too aggressively, and I still make this mistake sometimes, is that the host looks really healthy, but then the immune system the MCAS will kick in, and then it'll just punish patients. I've seen patients who say, I can't see anymore, I can't move my neck.
Mm.
So and that's the great pretender. It can do different things. So, and the diagnosis really is difficult because not too many people are going to shell out $3,000 for competent lab. Chances are they're the labs that the primary things that it's not as accurate, but if it's not affordable, they're not going to test. That doesn't help either. So I think Lyme disease is clinical because the CDC has made it so impossible to meet the criteria. So the best way I come up with is use one of the cheaper tests. Don't believe CDC that you need the 5 bands to get it declared that it is Lyme disease. If even one of them is positive, talk to the patient and give them a copy of like cited, like what does chronic Lyme look like? And I tell them, go home, highlight everything, and then give it to me. And then that's how we catch it. It's really by science, but also um, and like we can start with fatigue. You optimize sleep, and that's cheap. That's free. You optimize hormone. That's about maybe $400-500. You can check everything and optimize everything. And then nutrition, again, for $500, you can optimize everything. Infection, now we're talking about $3,000. So even the shine says I is in the middle. I do that last because of that. And at that point, then I'm also looking for autoimmune. And the last one that I do is infection because that workup is probably several $1,000s if they want to really know. If they don't want to really know, they want to handle it. And a lot of times, as we are correcting different things, it's not 100%, but they're like 50% better. And then they're like, you know what? I can deal with this.
Yeah.
Then like, like 50% better, $5,000. And then the other thing is that one of the tools I use, methylene blue, in high doses, it supercharges the mitochondria. Low doses, medium doses, supercharges serotonin system, which they can just function better. And then the last is that it suppresses antimicrobials. And that's what our government used on our sailors and Marines during Pacific War. 15 milligrams 2 times a day. My dose is less than that, so that it should be safe. And I only do it 5 days a week because Lyme does not require 7-day treatment.
That is so interesting. And I appreciate how you work with the patient because you understand that these tests and supplements add up quickly. And that's one thing I've really admired about you, Dr. Kim, is that you understand that, okay, we might have to do this in a little bit. Let's try this for a while. And so if you're thinking, okay, I can't start because I'm not going to be able to do it all, that is not the case. You can absolutely get started, see what comes as a result. And for me personally, and I think a lot of us can relate to, we hear a lot about cortisol, and cortisol is really good. It's a good thing for our body, but it kind of gets a bad reputation. Can you kind of explain the difference between healthy cortisol or maybe what's problematic cortisol or where we should even look or how we should look at cortisol?
So the cortisol, like what the conventional doctors do, one time test, 2 time test. And I've seen so many times those fail that if you get several timelines, even they may start out low, they may start out end low in the day, but in the midday, you don't know what they're doing. So what I like to do is a test known as Dutch test, and then you can measure multiple times throughout the day. And it's kind of pain in the neck because you have to give sample multiple times a day. But the thing is that you get that data. Once you get that data, what cortisol is supposed to do is a stress hormone. So what it's supposed to do for you is to work on get you ready for the next day, because getting up is very stressful for the body. So about 3 a.m., um, 4 a.m., even 2 a.m., cortisol will start build up, get you ready. So if you have low cortisol in the morning, it's very difficult to get up. And so that's cortisol support is one of the ways to do it. Another way is to um, secondary cortisol support, which is to suppress that, prevent that in the beginning. And so, one of the symptoms of not having enough cortisol would be fatigue or just feel like you can't get up. Some people have low cortisol, and in the morning and they can't get up. Some people very high cortisol and they're very irritable in the morning. So they have the energy, but they're more likely to just yell at you, bite your head off. And then on top of that, they take coffee. And there are people that shouldn't have coffee in the morning. There are other people who need like 3 shots of espresso in the morning, low cortisol. High cortisol people, um, that's not really gonna help them. And then let's say it crashes after lunch. These are people who basically feel like they have to take a nap or they can't keep their eyes open.
Me.
So there are 2 ways to deal with it. I tell them to fast during lunch, and that will shift the cortisol curve. And then the last is one is that usually at night your cortisol should drop, then you sleep. The worst is when the cortisol goes up at night. Instead of triggering it two, you trigger it at before that. So I've been doing biohacking. I'm wearing a device now, and I'm the secondary measurements of cortisol is blood glucose spikes. Blood glucose spikes happen with insulin and cortisol. And since I know biochemistry and physiology, by tracking my blood sugar throughout the day, I can kind of guess where my cortisol spikes are. And based on that, I can hack when to eat.
Man.
So I'm hacking my own body metabolism, and it's very easy these days. You don't need a prescription. You just go to the website stello.com, order it, and then whenever blood sugar spikes, that's your cortisol insulin release. And when you eat during that time, you're going to gain weight, guaranteed. It doesn't matter what you eat, you're going to turn into
What?
fat. If you eat fat, it's going to turn into fat. If you eat protein, even you eat keto, it's going to turn into to fat. So if you avoid those spikes and you eat during low blood sugar level, and there's a doctor called Berkman that basically talks about Bigman, who talks about this, Benjamin Bigman, and that is my like my latest hack. Before my hack was by doing full keto. The second level hack was limiting food intake to once a day. And then the third is fasting 3 times, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then other days eating. And it's all doable, but fasting is really difficult for some people like me. Not eating is really difficult. So what I found out with this hack is that um, eating at different times is different. It's, if you think about it this way, when your loved one is really pissed off, that is not the best time to say, honey, I love you. Let's plan for vacation. I mean, that's a pretty good way to get yelled at, probably. But if you just wait and then, oh, he's relaxed, he's in a good mood, and then you say, we haven't last time, I can't remember the last time we took vacation. And then you said, you will boil in tears. Oh, let's take a vacation. That's much better than um, he's all riled up and you say, oh, we haven't took a vacation anytime. Let's go and take a vacation. You didn't say it that way, but that's what he's hearing because his brain is irritated. So it's the same thing with the body. If I just can figure out when I can eat and what I can eat, because I know what I should eat is keto. When I should eat is determined by my blood sugar.
Man.
Uh, so and that way, I've been playing with this, and I'm eating same amount, and I'm losing weight.
Wow. What are some symptoms of when you have a blood sugar spike? Like, what would be
That's the
your
worst
typical?
thing. It's
Yeah.
weight gain. Weight gain is the best way to know
Well,
that
like
you have insulin
symptoms.
resistance.
If I
That's a symptom. There's no symptom because of high blood sugar. We have euphoria. You feel good. I mean, just imagine like when you eat chocolate, right? Do you feel what are the symptoms? It feels great.
I
That's the symptom.
valid, valid.
And then if you eat that amount of chocolate every day for 1 month, what happens to the weight? It goes up.
What impacts? You say you're watching when your blood sugar spikes,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
assuming, so what impacts when it goes up?
Basically, cortisol is going to be high,
Okay.
and insulin is going to be high. When insulin's high, insulin is a fat building protein, a hormone. Insulin is a growth factor. Insulin says turn everything into fat.
Interesting.
So insulin gets sugar into the cells, and then once you have excess sugar, the way we deal with is fat, and where this happens the most is the liver, and that's how we get fatty liver disease, which
That
is
makes
also
this
very common.
that this goes right in part with your desire to find root cause, right?
Yes, absolutely.
This it better explains what
Yeah.
is happening and why it's happening. That's so interesting. Very well done.
So,
Oh,
for example, GLP-1, people don't know about half of what the weight they lose is muscle weight. About 35% is muscle weight. People also don't know that as soon as you quit it, within 1 year or so, people gain back most of their weight.
mm,
So, and the way that I look at it is that I'm a professional and I want lasting results. I want because weight loss is so difficult anyway. So I think it's cruel to say, do this and you'll lose all the weight, and then but I'm not going to tell you you're going to gain it all back as soon as you stop this. So what do you call that? That's dependence, right?
mm.
Whereas if I teach them how to eat right and then give them all these different tools, guess what? They don't need me. That's the alt. I mean, they can graduate my services. Like recently, there was a woman that graduated my services, actually in the tri-state area for MCAS. And the person's like, I feel so good. I feel like I don't need services. So I feel really proud that
Yeah.
that happened. And I have had patients with inflammatory bowel disease who says, I don't really need you anymore because you taught me how to deal with it.
Mm.
So
Biggest
that's
compliment.
yeah, and because doctor means to teach, docere. That means doctor teacher.
Amazing. Some lightning round questions before we part
Yeah.
ways today because you've done phenomenal. What is your best suggested breakfast for
Oh,
women?
fasting.
Really?
Well, it depends on the blood sugar. But
Uh-huh.
fasting is there are two ways to look at it. Either protein and fat mixture with low sugar would be ideal. But if you're gonna take a high sugar, morning would be the best time to take it because you can burn it off, and that's why they say exercising in the morning is the best time because and then the worst time so best breakfast would be egg, avocado, if you like bacon. And you notice all of them are whole food and all of them bacon has some processing, but um, it's I think the closer the food is to God made, the further away it is from human made. I think it's better food. So if you argue that maybe some protein source plus the the avocado plus egg, I couldn't argue with that. Or egg and avocado, I can argue with that because I think the more we get involved, the more processed the foods are. I think we have really, really big problem. And they have pictures of 70s beach versus 2020 beach. And it's not like they were health conscious salad eating. I think salad eating actually is more popular now than then, but no one was really obese. Today, it's the opposite. What changed is our food has changed. It's more
Mm.
processed. So I tell people that if you eat whole food, it's gonna be so. Even if you're gonna eat sugar, I rather you eat nature, close to nature. One of the things that we don't know about is that our fruits have been poisoned through genetic modification or selection for sweetness. So if you can, and so I think that people's taste has been reintroduced to sweetness. But if you're going to eat sweet, I think morning is best time. So like eggs, berries, avocado would be excellent. If you are into nut, make sure you get the best nut available because most nuts will have mold in it.
Mm.
So in the country of where we live, in the tri-state, unfortunately, I mean, Hy-Vee is pretty good, but better than Hy-Vee would be Fresh Market. Fresh Market is is it Harvest? It's called Harvest. It's in Springfield and
Oh, Harvest Market.
yeah, Harvest Market. That when I lived in Urbana Champaign, that I went there every day after work, and then I would select out my dinner. And they will probably have the cleanest nuts, and the mold free is key because mold will trigger MCAS among other things.
Hmm. I don't know about anybody else, but I think I've purely convinced myself that I have Lyme disease and or mold within my body. Good thing that you're involved, Dr. Kim.
Yeah, and but having said that, the LDN can help. I like one tool that can do multiple things because that way I think that it just is easier for patient for LDN. It modulates immune system. It modulates the nervous system. It reduces inflammation. Are three big things it does. For methylene blue, it supercharges mitochondria for energy. It supercharges serotonin for energy, and then it kills things. I call methylene blue poor man's IV vitamin C, and I say poor man because IV vitamin C can be $200 to $300, and there's
Dang.
risk of puncturing your skin, whereas methylene blue is not. And one thing about methylene blue people should know is that they cannot be on antidepressant because they theoretically can have a reaction. I haven't found one single instance, but it's theoretically possible.
Such great conversation, good advice. Dr. Kim, if people are ready to move forward and have a personalized one-on-one call with you, how is the best way for them to get in contact with you?
It would be the website. They can go to my website. My phone number is there. They can text me. They can call me, or they can fill out contact me. I used to be more rigid, and before I met Denise, I said everyone had to contact me, and then the Miss Doctor Denise, doctor because doctor means to teach. So my teacher Denise, her jaw just kind of dropped, and she's a lady, so she doesn't show it, but I can see that clearly the jaw has dropped to the floor. And she's like, and she's stammering. I've never seen her stammer other times, and she's trying to figure out how do I say this, like in a diplomatic, decorum way. And I saw from that reaction, I said, I saw error of my ways. I've only seen it a couple of times when she saw my website that came out. And then when I told her that everyone has to contact me and contact me phone, so that I dropped that.
You're
Now,
so
if they
funny.
text me, I have a service that is a secure chat for text and secure phone and secure video, so they can use that. And it's in the workflow. If they contact me, I put them in that system. If they call me, automatically they sign out in that system.
Mm.
So Denise,
You're so
yeah.
smart.
Oh, if you know anyone who has small business and marketing is a problem, should contact Denise. Denise is really a genius.
My hands
And
are sweaty now, Dr. Kim. You're so
but
kind.
she's really supercharged my practice, and she gives me advice on things that it's not in her direct area, but because of her, I learned how to program and how to put up new website that looks really nicer than before.
So true. Good advice, Dr. Kim, and thank you for the kind words. If you are all interested, we will have show notes and details to reach Dr. Kim on the website, workingmomsredefined.com. I'm going to have to go get some better breakfast because my protein yogurt could be better improved. I just know
Well,
it.
I think the issue is that most yogurt low fat, and what they tell you is when you see low fat, put inserted with high sugar.
I'm going to go
Bec-
check right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. The reason why is sugar is the cheapest. Protein is the most expensive. When they increase protein, they use tricks like allergenic products like casein
Ah,
or gluten. They just spray gluten and casein to everything, and like especially in cereals, that's then it looks really good. It's like before it's all sugar. It's like no, we need more protein. The consumers demand this, so they spray all these allergic things, and then they come back to us, and all of a sudden like they have allergies, they have autoimmune disease. They're saying, why is it do we have epidemic of autoimmune diseases? It's because of what we eat. Why is it that our young people will live like our children will live shorter than us? How's that? I mean, it's not a
sad.
really good thing. So I think you know what SAD is? Standard American diet. That is SAD or SAD.
Too funny. Well, I'm going to go down in my pantry and trash everything. But truly, Dr. Kim, thank you so much. And thank you for empowering us to do hard things. Thank you for listening to the Working Moms Redefined podcast. It is not lost on me that you chose to spend time together. Thank you. Let's connect outside of this space on socials. We'd love for you to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest. We've got it all to connect with you. If you feel as if someone in your life could be impacted by this message, feel free to share it. That is the biggest compliment. As we part ways together, remember, you can do hard things.